Right, as you can see here, I'm working in the back garden. I'm doing a side hack for a bike. It's just an experiment at the moment. I'm not looking for anything that's for strength or anything like that. Basically, it's just to see if the principles work, and maybe do a little bit of shopping carrying, so nothing too heavy. Just going to put it together from bits of scrap that I've got. I've got the front wheel off a old bike that I found. I've got bits of steel from beds and all sorts, and broken bike frames. I'm going to put it together, see how it works out. As you can see from this picture, you can see the basic premise. You've got the main bar there. That's a double strength bar. Basically, I've put it's about 1.5 mil thick bar with another mil thick bar underneath it, so basically it's pinned. That is just to get the general idea of it putting together. It's not going to hold a lot of weight. It's going to basically be for the shopping. But you can see where I've put it next to the wheel. You can see it's going to attach to the frame at that point there, and that's going to give me the basis for the rest of the build. But it gives me a good idea of how it's all going to go together, and hopefully it should work. Here we go. As you can now see, I've done a partial tack on the weld. My welding rod came out the thing, but that's just a safety measure. So I've now put that across, and it should be about level. What you want to do is have the wheels slightly towed in and the bike slightly towed in as well, mainly because this improves the rideability of the hack. After a little bit of work, you can see the cross beam I've put in at the top of the bike. I've made it slightly curved. I just happen to have a curved piece of bar, and basically means that you can pedal without hitting anything. As you can see, I've welded 2 cross beams over. I've now welded the top beam on. I've taken a ride on it, and it's incredibly hard to steer, but there you go. Alright, just to give you an overview, I showed you on the last video that it's just a mock-up just to see how it works, but it's actually working really, really well. What I've done is I've put a tray on the sidecar. I've put an extra strengthening strut, and also you've got the small strut just here, just to give it a little bit of extra rigidity, but it actually works really, really well. And I've also spray painted it, put a new seat on it, and it actually does do the job. What we're going to do today is a trailer using the rest of the bicycle that was the front wheel there. So that's what we're hopefully going to do today. Well, that didn't take long. As you can see, I've now stripped up the bike from the parts there bits. It was pretty easy, just the basic standard bike toolkit, and there's all the bits that I've taken off. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to cut the frame at key points to provide a platform and a pivot point. We're only going to have one pivot point because we're hooking it up to the sidecar bike. I'm going to cut off here. I'm going to cut off here, and I'm going to trim these down to just a basic block and hopefully put these back in. So it's just going to be a basic pivot point. I'm going to keep this unit as one. I'm going to cut off right across there. Reason being, this is a very useful unit there that I can probably weld onto something else. I'm going to keep it. And there we have it. Basic frame and wheel for the trailer. As you can see, I've cut off this little bit here, there, and I've also cut out the main tubing just up here. I've also cut off the pedals off the bottom, as you see, but I've kept the unit. All the bits that I've kept are all down there, and there's always a use for them, so you keep them. Right. What I've done here is I've welded some front forks from another bike onto the rear part of the frame. It's a bit messy at the moment. The premise here is that's the hitch, and there we have it. As you can see, straight from the wheel all the way down to the hitch point. There's the hitch point weld all the way round. As you can see, what I've got is I've taken the cups out of the original neck, and then, if you can see, take these off, it hitches onto some ball bearings, so it gives you, it's not going to pull this off. There is a secondary bolt that you can put underneath just to lock it off. So I do that. So all I've got to do now is do a frame. There we go. It's not the best of welding jobs I've done. I'm trying out new welding rods. There you go. That's a project and a half. All I've got to do is put a wooden lattice on those two metal prongs. They are pretty strong. I've stood on it several times just to check. Should last. I'm going to give it a definitive test when I go down the dump with some rocks. But it works. It works. It'll do the job. Job done. Just got to get some black matte back paint tomorrow. But as you can see, I've given it an undercoat already just to make sure it's and yes, it is wonky. That's because the bike's wonky because of the sidecar, so it is a little wonky. But it does work. It works pretty well. I'll give it a test tomorrow as well. As you can see, that should do the job. Hehe.